Welcome to what I hope will be a weekly show. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Matt.
And we're going to run down the things that, well, I've been saying we're going to run down for about 2 weeks now. Starting off with DC Reboot.
DC Reboot. It's a pretty controversial topic nowadays.
It's extremely controversial. The idea of rebooting an entire catalog. Not just like one series, bumping everything back to #1. To even a fresh coat of paint in hopes to like draw in the youngins.
Especially Detective Comics. I'm kind of bummed that there won't be a 900.
You want to explain what Detective Comics is a little bit?
No, everybody knows what Detective Comic is.
Yeah, okay, because that's why they come to the site. Are you kidding me? Okay. Well, anyway, besides the point. Detective Comics, what was it?
900.
900? That's kind of a weird number to cut it off at.
Yeah, it's like 8 something, anyway.
So what do you hope, so why do you think they did this? Like, is it money, or is it just that they're fucking bat crazy?
It's probably money. Because, honestly, the comics industry is not doing too good.
Yeah, no.
In case you haven't noticed.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed, it is a dying medium.
Yeah, we may not be around for too long.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, most of the money generated by like Marvel and DC comes through like movie sales and endorsements. Toys.
Everybody loves them.
Coloring
Iron Man 2.
books.
Everybody loves Iron Man 2 on an ATV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay, quick point. Why does every superhero so we need to have like an all-terrain vehicle and a motorcycle and a jetpack?
Well, kids love that shit.
Kids love ATVs. Alright, whatever. But anyway, so with the rebooting, we're all going back to #1s. Do we know if it's going to be just origins are being retold, or are we just suspected to know that Superman can do what a Superman can?
I believe that some things will be... I've heard that some things will be drastically changed. Others are going to pretty much stay the same. For example, Damian is still going to be there. There's going to be Nightwing's going to have his own series now. Red Robin's going to be in the Teen Titans, and Jason Todd is going to have his own series.
And Jason Todd is?
Red Hood.
Red Hood being a Batman villain. I don't want to call him a villain because I mean I kind of sympathize with the guy. He was Batman's old Robin at one point, and basically, you know, Joker blew him up in a warehouse.
Hit him with a
crowbar. And then he was resurrected, and now he's kind of your anti-hero, going around slaying the villains instead of just putting them in jail and letting them break out and kill another 600 people.
Pretty much,
That's how Batman rolls.
Yeah, he's Punisher of DC Universe.
What I think is going to end up happening, though, is you're just going to piss off your fan base, which is the hardcore. Nobody buys books besides the hardcore.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't care if you are... there's no such thing as a casual comics fan.
Unless you read, like, paperbacks or something.
But, I mean, even paperbacks takes a little dedication, because you have to come in, you know, week after week to come pick it up.
I suppose.
And, I mean, like... I don't know if this is, like, in lieu of, like, you know, Barnes & Noble's supposed to start carrying floppies, which would be nuts because they only really hold trades, and I mean for them to be, that would pretty much kill the local comic shop scene.
Yeah.
Because Barnes & Noble's just too powerful.
And it might happen because Barnes & Noble gets a lot of customers and it's pretty accessible, so...
Yeah, it's the accessibility.
More comics would definitely sell.
But local shops are always much better. Always go to your local shops. Don't support those. Don't support Staples. They're not Staples.
Barnes & Noble.
No, what's the other one that Ethan said went out of business?
I don't know. Borders.
No, don't support Borders.
They're dicks.
They're just terrible.
Support your local comics.
Yep.
Like the Comic Outpost.
So let's move on to what we're reading right now. The big events going on in Marvel and DC. We have Fear Itself.
And Flashpoint.
And let's run down what's happening. You want to start with Flashpoint?
Alright, so in Flashpoint, it's actually almost not even explained. But the Reverse Flash has come back and he's screwing with the Flash very hard.
Reverse Flash basically being the Flash but evil.
The reverse.
I think that's
everything's
hilarious.
backwards.
He's yellow.
He's yellow and red. Alright, so Reverse Flash comes back and he has messed with the time stream. So, yeah. Pretty much anything else I could say would be spoilerish. So, I mean, if you haven't read Flashpoint already. But.
Exactly. We're assuming that you haven't. And Fear Itself, already on issue 3. Fear Itself, basically the daughter of the Red Skull, named Sin, who looks like a very angry sun-dried tomato, like stuck on a 2x4.
Red Skull looks like a skull. She looks.
She
like a
doesn't
meatball.
look like a skull. She looks like a meatball.
An angry meatball.
So basically, she goes after these hammers that her father summoned back during World War II in an attempt to, help Nazis. Basically, these hammers fall to Earth, and only the worthy can pick it up. She turns out to be worthy. She picks it up and resurrects
The serpent.
the serpent. We don't know if he's a Norse god or anything. I do know that the Norse gods are terrified of him.
Well, there's this in Norse mythology. There's this thing called the Midgard serpent,
Ah,
and Midgard is Earth.
right.
Serpent. Yeah, and he's.
Okay.
I don't even remember what he does.
All I know is if he's got to be pretty bad if he makes Odin go, oh crap, let's grab my son and let's get out of here.
Speaking of grabbing his son, what's up with Odin? He's so hypocritical.
True, because I mean, especially like if you've seen Thor the movie,
Or read Origins of Thor.
yeah, or know the slightest thing about Thor, you'd know that like his dad sent him to Earth to become more humble, to be like more understanding of humans, basically to not be a dick.
Thor, you need to go with humans. Humans know what's up.
Yeah, humans know what's up. They know humility because it's in their name and nature.
But in fear itself.
But in Fear Itself, he's just like, man, people suck.
Fuck humans.
Humans should just die. I hate humans. Let's just leave. I don't care if they're building me a new house. Let's just go. And then,
People are getting messed up.
yeah, hammers are getting picked up by all kinds of characters. I don't want to give it away, but literally, you pick up a cover, they spoil like at least 2 or 3 of the worthy on it.
I don't want to feel bad if I spoil it.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything. So your favorite heroes might end up being like these Bringer of the End and
Breaker of wills.
the Breaker of Wills. So let's start with Fear Itself. What do you think of it? Do you think it's a fun story to read?
I think it's kind of cool so far. Like, I think Fraction's doing a good job with setting it up. It feels like it's actually a film that you're watching,
Right.
It's pretty interesting to see, like, how he makes the panels,
Right, it doesn't feel like they're just shoving ideas together because they had a really cool idea and then they didn't know how to finish it. Secret Invasion.
Or...
So, with that in mind, what I really like about this is that it's really accessible. Like, you really don't... Like, I love when they do events because events are, one, fun to collect and read, and they're exciting because hopefully they'll have, like, a ramification.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you have events that don't...
Universe needs to change.
Exactly. Something needs to happen. And with it being so accessible, it's great. Like, I can hand this off to somebody who's never read anything or knows anything about comics, and it's all self-contained. You don't need prior knowledge. Maybe a little prior knowledge when they get into, like, the obscure characters, but it's called Wikipedia. Look it up. They're mostly right.
Yeah.
Now, with Flashpoint, how would you say is the accessibility on Flashpoint?
Well, yeah, I guess you need to know some of the backstories, but they explain most of it.
It is...
There's a nice amount of exposition in it.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, but in this alternate world, things are kind of twisted around, so it would help to know a bit, because, like, people like Commander Cold are in there, and...
Commander Cold, I always used, when I was younger, I always thought he was like Mr. Freeze in his jacket. Commander Cold is literally like a guy who blows dry ice out of his mouth, and it looks like he's an Eskimo.
Out of his mouth, out of a gun. That's much better.
That's much better. That's much more hardcore.
So people like Commander Cold are in there, and they have a completely different role than what they play in their main universe. So it'd be nice to, know who these people are and like see what their roles are before and after the change.
Is this is its own self-contained universe?
It's actually the home universe.
Okay. Freeze. Those of you who don't know, DC has like 1 million. How many Earths do they have?
Like 52 right now.
52 Earths. So
52 different universes, I think.
And I mean, Marvel does that too, but I don't know how many they have.
More than 52.
Really? Yeah. Well, Marvel basically, when they don't like an idea, they throw it in another universe. Marvel
What if?
Zombies. Oh yeah, I never really counted those, but that is.
There's a lot of
something
what ifs.
So, speaking of universes, we talked a little bit about it. Matt Fraction is the one actually writing Fear Itself, and I listened to an interview over at comicsalliance.com on their weekly podcast, and he talked about what he thought was the most important thing in writing, like, stories that change the universe. And to him, he feels that a lot of the times events are either strong at their very beginning or strong at their very end and just die off after. So he's saying it's either out of the gate amazing and then goes terrible, or it's terrible and then the end game is just incredible. But so I mean, I kind of agree with that. And then it was kind of funny because he talked about how he read so many events and planning Fear Itself, and one of his favorites was like Crisis on Infinite Earths from DC, which is
that's pretty strange because not a lot of people say it's very convoluted and unnecessary.
Yeah, he actually said that. He said this during an interview or a panel at a Comic-Con, and a guy comes up to the mic and says, "Well, if you know it so well, why don't you explain it to me?" And he literally said, "Yeah, come meet me at my booth. I'll explain it to you." And he sat there and he drew like a little map of like how it works and like what's going on, and he gave it to these people. He took a picture, it's signed. It's pretty funny. But I mean, I don't know. I can't agree with it. Like, are you kidding me? You liked it? Crisis on Infinite Earths.
For those of you who don't know, Crisis on Infinite Earths is when DC's multi-universe thing got too out of control. They wanted to merge it all into one universe. So like Golden Age superheroes like the old Flash, Spectre, all that stuff, old Superman, were contrasted with a different universe with new Superman, new Flash, etc. So Crisis of Infinite Earths basically did was smush them all together. So old Flash is with new Flash. Old Superman's he was put into an alternate dimension.
Don't read it.
It's convoluted.
Don't
it's
read
hard.
it. Just don't.
You can read it.
Don't read it. It's terrible.
Don't be surprised when you don't get it. It's hard.
Nobody gets it. So
except for Matt Fraction.
Yeah, Matt Fraction gets it. So I don't have a transition for this, but we're going into movie news.
Oh.
We're going to be talking about movies. So I have seen X-Men First Class.
Tons of movies have actually come out, like Thor, First Class, Green Lantern, like quick succession. There's no breaks between them.
Yeah, and I don't know. You haven't seen any of them, to my knowledge.
Thor.
You saw Thor. We both saw Thor.
Thor was pretty good.
Let's talk about Thor.
I like
from
Thor.
The beginning. I felt Thor was just an enjoyable movie, and I think if you go into if the director of a Marvel movie goes into it and doesn't think, "Hey, I'm making a comic book movie," and just thinks, "Hey, I'm making a movie," they'll come out better.
Yeah.
The story was just enjoyable. Like I was happy watching it. Like
seeing the previews.
Oh God! It looked like Adam Sandler was like, you know what? You need more corny love interest jokes. But
the movie turned out pretty good.
It was great, and it was cool because like we with Jamie and them were there, and so we had friends there, and they don't know anything about Thor, but they enjoyed it, and and there was like hardcore little nerd nuggets for us in there.
It was Banner,
Hawkeye,
Dr. Pam was mentioned, but not by name.
Yeah, well, they cut that out. The email going to that scientist friend was supposed to go to Hank Pym, and if you don't know Hank Pym, well, he's Giant Man. He's very crucial. Builds a robot that just causes genocide in like 3 universes. But getting off topic, Thor focused on story. They didn't focus on it was a comic book movie, and that's why it came out good. Now let's go into First Class, because I mean you haven't seen First Class. I saw First Class, and this is what I can take from First Class. First Class, if you go in there and just accept the retelling of the X-Men, you'll enjoy the movie, because it is not the original X-Men. I kind of don't like when they say that kind of stuff, because then it messes up kids when they if they do transition to comics. They're like, wait, where's
pretty sure Havoc.
Where's Havoc? Yeah, like what, Banshee isn't a ginger kid? They like freak out. But I really think that X-Men First Class was more, how do I put it? It felt like a hipster movie to me. Like
hipster movie?
A hipster movie. In my opinion, a hipster movie is when they try to get too serious on something, or like they take something that's like fun and then they just like kind of destroy it. Like the X-Men, they're supposed to be fighting and have bad guys. There's so much internal strife between characters, and like
which is like a point for Thor. Thor didn't really take itself too seriously. It was like lighthearted with its jokes.
Yeah.
It was a nice
like
movie.
X-Men, they were playing with like the Cold War. Like the X-Men prevented the Cold War. That's a pretty deep subject. They had JFK speeches in there. They had they did have some nice little nods to like Cerebro.